and welcome to the Actual Tech Media EcoCast. My name is Jess and I am excited to be here with you all today. But before we jump into our content, I have some basic information that I want to cover with you. All right, let's kick off our day here today by taking a quick tour of your audience console. And we're going to start with the questions window. So if you haven't already said hi, there is a whole audience of cool humans out there, so reach out and give a wave to the other members of the Actual Tech Media community. Now, keep in mind that if you do have any technical issues today, a browser refresh is going to fix just about anything. But if those tech gremlins are clinging on today, no problem. Just throw a comment in the question section and our crew will be there to help. We also want this to be an informative webinar for you, so throughout today's EcoCast, we hope you'll get engaged and ask all your burning questions. Not only will we have team members responding to you over a live chat, we will also have a dedicated Q&A session at the end of our presentations. Now, if we don't get to your question during the live webinar today, don't worry, because the awesome experts that we have here with us will be following up after we wrap. All right, next up, there's going to be lots of cool aha moments on the EcoCast today. And if you want to share those with your community, we've made it nice and easy for you. You can use the Twitter button right there on your audience console, and the hashtag for today's EcoCast will be automatically added to your post. All right, our last stop on this guided tour, be sure to check out the handouts tab for some awesome resources and takeaways from our speakers here today. We have an info pack collection, solution briefs, white papers, data sheets, free trials, ebooks, upcoming webinars, and more. So many great resources, so be sure to go explore. Now, if that wasn't enough fun, we also have some exciting prizes that we'll be giving away throughout today's EcoCast. I'm going to tell you a bit more about those later on, but a few quick reminders for you all. First, you do need to be here live in attendance at the EcoCast in order to qualify to win a prize, and we will follow up with all of you after we wrap. Now, all winners must submit an IRS Form W-9 to Actual Tech Media, and all winners must meet the Actual Tech Media prize terms and conditions. Now, if you don't know what those full T's and C's are, that's fine. We've got the full thing for you. Just head on over to that handouts tab, click in, scroll down to the bottom, and you'll find them waiting for you there. Now, the absolute most important thing to remember is that we love getting all your insightful questions during these live webinars. In fact, we love it so much that we actually have a special additional prize for all you inquisitive folks out there. So in today's EcoCast, we will be giving away a prize for the best question asked in each of our live sessions. Now, the expert speakers and teams will review all questions asked after we wrap the webinar, which means that even if your question does not get read out in a live session, there is still a chance to win. If you are a lucky winner here today and you would like to donate the value of your prize, we have several wonderful organizations that we partner with. So let us know when we follow up about your big win, and we'll get that rolling for you. Again, we are so happy to have you all here with us live at the EcoCast today, and we want to keep that good feeling going, so let's connect on social media. Reach out and connect with Actual Tech Media on Twitter and on LinkedIn. We have lots of great content, and we always want to hear from you. Now, if you're looking for more awesome content and resources right after we wrap the EcoCast today, be sure to subscribe to the Actual Tech Media channel on YouTube. Another fun way to win a prize and, hey, grow this awesome community is to refer an industry friend or a coworker to the Actual Tech Media webinar series. Now, you'll find a link to do that right in your handouts tab, and you will also be automatically redirected at the end of the webinar. And both you and your coworker or friend could win a prize, and we hold those drawings every month. So be sure to refer a friend because, hey, it could quite literally be a win-win situation. Next, we have a cool opportunity for all the decision makers out there to get connected with new and emerging tech and innovative vendors. Here's how it works. All you need to do is click on the link in your handouts tab, fill out a quick application, and the Actual Tech crew will then match you with some vendors that we think you should probably be chatting with based on your needs. There will also be fun opportunities that you get to choose to join in, like surveys, test runs, new solutions, extended demos, and so on. You'll get some chances to win extra prizes, you'll chat with great people, and you'll learn about the hottest new trends in tech. So be sure to apply, or hey, send that link to a decision maker on your team. Now, I want to take a quick minute here to remind you all about one of my favorite resources, and that is ransomware.org. You can find out everything you need to know about ransomware, how to prepare, prevent, and recover. This site is jam-packed with information, helpful tips, checklists, strategic approaches, case studies, everything you need in one place. So wherever you are in your ransomware preparedness journey, there is something for you at ransomware.org. Go check it out and start exploring. All right, I have one more exciting resource I have to tell you about today, and that is the Gorilla Guide Book Club. It's going to give you access to free enterprise IT books authored by top industry experts, so you can stay up to date on trending enterprise technology. And yes, these books will work on your Kindle, your mobile device, and as I said, they are completely free. You can download these awesome resources at gorilla.guide, and there's a link for you in that handouts tab as well. All right, well, we have covered a lot of important things already, and I don't know about you all, but I am excited to dive in. So let's get going.
All right, folks, it is time to get the good times rolling here because today we are talking about application security, protecting modern, traditional, and cloud apps from development to end of life. I'm so excited to get into this conversation with you all because there's so much to explore when it comes to security and the vast variety of applications used by organizations today. It's not a one and done solution, as it is imperative to protect and secure applications from their inceptions through their lifecycle. The good news is we are not alone in this journey. We have top experts here with us from Rubrik and from Commvault who are going to be guiding us through this exciting topic. I know you are all ready and pumped up to get started, so we'll go through just a few last little bits of info and then get our speakers on out with us. My name is Mackenzie Puddisy, and I am the newest moderator here at Actual Tech Media. This is only my second EcoCast where I'm taking the lead, so I'm counting on all of you to wish me luck and to make sure we have a smooth sailing kind of day. And my friends and fellow moderators, Jess Steinbach, Scott Becker, and Keith Ward are here with us live on chat as well. Nice to meet you, and thank you for being here today. Now, just when you thought you had enough excitement for one day with a new moderator in the house, I've got something more for you. Prizes. Today on the EcoCast, you could win one of three $300 Amazon gift cards that we will be giving away to 3 lucky winners who are here, present, and live with us at the EcoCast. And as mentioned in the housekeeping chat this morning, you can find the full T's and C's linked in the handouts tab if you have any questions about that. And hey, with that last little thing, we are ready to rock. Now, before I introduce you to our keynote speaker, I have a question for you all, just to be sure you're all awake and alive and enthusiastic out there. I've got this time frame poll. Take a second to answer this about the timelines in which you are thinking to implement some of the strategies and softwares that we'll be about to talk to today. Maybe you don't know, and that's okay too. We're just getting a lay of the land. I'm seeing a lot of not sures, a little bit of 6 to 12 months. Feel free to throw that in there just so we get a sense of where you're at, and even for you to get a sense of where you're at. Alrighty, thanks for taking the time to do that. If you didn't get your answers in, don't worry. Keith has got some polls coming up for you, so this was a way to get your fingers ready to get on the trigger. And it's time to kick things off in style. I'm so excited to introduce our keynote speaker and fellow moderator, Keith Ward, who will be opening up our minds to this topic and setting the stage for today. Thanks for being here today, Keith. Why don't you go ahead and get the ball rolling?
That will be my pleasure, Mackenzie. Hello, everyone, and happy Groundhog Day. Hello, everyone, and happy Groundhog Day. See what I did there? Right. It is great to see It is great to see everyone. I had to throw a little trick there at Mackenzie just to to introduce him to these events and to all of us and my weirdness. Okay, so I think he is now fully informed about how strange I am. I love seeing everyone here today. What I want to do right now is lay some groundwork for the event today. Are your applications secure? Well, that is the question. The fact is we live in a hybrid world nowadays. Organizations are moving quickly toward an environment where applications and data exist both on premises and in the cloud. Now, this brings with it a crying need for a robust and comprehensive approach to application security. This is because modern applications, as you probably know, are characterized by their agility, microservices architecture, and reliance on containerization, which often brings with it Kubernetes, as you know. Now, the continuous integration, continuous deployment, also known as the CI/CD pipeline, is a key factor in their rapid development and deployment of these applications. Now, the downside of all of these benefits is that these apps face heightened security risks due to things like their distributed nature, the interdependencies between microservices. Data lives here and there and everywhere, and it's just so hard to track everything. So some of the top threats that we have got that we're facing in this new environment include code vulnerabilities. So rapid development cycles can lead to oversight in code reviews, introducing vulnerabilities that may go unnoticed until deployment. This is bad. Container security. So containerization in Kubernetes brings efficiency, but also introduces unique security challenges like image vulnerabilities, container escape attacks. There's just a lot of moving parts. And when you have that kind of complexity, things break really easily. Another thing you have to worry about is API security. Microservices, as you know, communicate through these APIs. Now, this makes them susceptible to security breaches if they're not properly secured. So these are just some of the challenges that we're facing, but those are some of the things we're going to be talking about today. And with that as background, I want to take you through some poll questions related to your app security readiness. And if you are ready, we are going to dive into our first poll question here today. And that is, are you using any cloud native or cloud first development in your environment? Let me know. This is a simple one. Yes, no. Cloud native, cloud first development opens you up, of course, as I discussed a minute ago, to a world of possibilities, as well as a world of dangers from the bad guys. The code, for instance, the code repositories can be both public and private. Code is updated much more often, sometimes before being thoroughly tested, leaving them wide open to exploits. I mean, when you're releasing new code, sometimes daily, it's not often checked as thoroughly as it could be or should be. So these apps now have a host of attack vectors. So I'm going to go over here and we are going to see what this poll question says. So we are seeing that 62% of you are using cloud native and cloud first, and 37% are not. Yeah, that tracks. So we're talking pretty close to 2/3 of you. So that means, that you are exposed. You're open to these things. It's something to be aware of. And I'm glad to see that number as high as it is, because the advantages are huge, even, with the risks that are there. Okay, let's go to the next one. Do you employ any threat intelligence and or security analytics? Now, threat intelligence involves gathering, analyzing, applying knowledge about potential cyber threats. This enhances your ability to identify and mitigate risks specific to cloud environments. Now, security analytics, on the other hand, leverages advanced analytics, machine learning, AI, things like that, to detect anomalies and potential security incidents in real time. These are separate, but they also work together. And let me tell you, they are a powerful combination when they're used together. So want to find out how many of you are using both of these. And let's see some of the results here. Okay, 88%. Way to go, folks. So you are concerned about this. You are aware of the vulnerabilities here, and you are taking these steps to make sure that you are protected. I am glad to see those numbers. For those 11% of you who are not yet, well, what are you waiting for, folks? Let's get on it. All right, next up. Okay, do you use any identity and access management products? You may know this by its acronym of IAM. So IAM is a crucial component of cybersecurity that focuses on controlling and managing user access to an organization's systems and resources. IAM ensures that only authorized individuals have the right level of access to specific data or applications, which minimizes the risk of unauthorized access and potential security breaches. So IAM can encompass things like authentication, authorization, user management. It provides a comprehensive framework to govern user identities and their permissions. Multi-factor authentication is part of this as well, and all of those things are a factor here. So let's find out how many of you are using IAM products right now. 76% are, 23% are not. Still, those are pretty good numbers. I have to say that I'm happy to see that. That number could be higher. It's so essential to be using IM if you're not. Start looking into it now for those of you who are answering in the negative toward that. Okay, so next poll question. This is number 4. Do you know if all your servers are fully patched and updated? Do you know if all your servers, let me emphasize all, lots of environments have many, many servers, and it is my experience that lots of admins don't even know some of the ones that they have on servers that go out of commission but aren't fully taken offline. Things like that happen. And if this is you, you could be in a world of hurt because it's almost impossible for a week to go by and not read about a security breach caused by unpatched servers. You know, there's still organizations out there on Exchange, 2013. There are still unpatched servers that are in the wild, and it's the most basic server hygiene you can do, and yet it remains shockingly ignored by most, I shouldn't say most, by many organizations nowadays. You may think you know, but if you don't have proper discovery in your environment, you could be missing servers that are public-facing servers that are still active that you thought were inactive, etc. So this is as basic as it gets, folks, but it still remains to this day to be a problem in the same way that social engineering remains a problem for companies. So let's see how you are looking on patching your servers. Now you see here. So this is an area for strong improvement. If 63% yes, 36% don't know if all their servers are fully patched and updated. This is something that needs immediate attention. And let me emphasize immediate attention again. So do not wait on that. You're going to learn a lot more about these kinds of things today, all the stuff we've talked about. Looking forward to this event. Glad to see you answering these poll questions. Love all the participation. I got one final thing for you here today, and this might be the most important poll question of all, at least in my opinion it is. And here is the question. What is your favorite Groundhog Day quote? Now, Groundhog Day is in my top 5 all-time movies. I just can't watch it enough. I love it. And so I know all the quotes. For me, it's kind of like the original Star Wars. I could probably get 85 to 90% of every bit of it. So rise and shine, woodchuck chuckers. It's Groundhog Day. That's the first. And maybe, well, I'm not sure what my favorite would be. You speak French. To world peace. To world peace. Amen. It's the amen that makes that so beautiful. The where are we going? Ooh, let's not spoil it. That's with Ned Ryerson at the end. Okay, and the final one, which is my favorite, I have to say, he could be okay. Well, no, probably not now, right? The car at the bottom of the quarry. So I'm going to be watching this later today after the event, of course. I hope all of you are going to do the same. It's one of the most rewatchable movies along with Princess Bride that's out there. So let's see what we have got now. Okay. Yep. Okay, we've got a close one here. Boom and woodchuck chuckers. Yep, great ones. These are all great quotes. It's really hard to pick a favorite here. Steve is saying, "Yeah, I Got You, Babe." Always reminds me of the movie. I can't hear that song anymore. Yeah, without thinking of that immediately. So, everyone, thank you so much for participating in our polls. Thank you so much for being here today. It's a delight to be on with everyone. And with that, my part of this event is done, I think, and I am going to hand this back over to you, Mackenzie, and we're going to now look at our very first session of the day. So why don't you take it over from here? Great to see everyone. I'll see you in the next one.
Awesome. Thank you, Keith. I enjoyed your jokes and your final poll there. Hopefully we don't get stuck in a loop redoing this webinar for all of time. So I'm going to try to make it perfect today. It is my pleasure to introduce you to our first expert presenters in today's EcoCast. And you can see that we are starting things out on a great note here. Please welcome from the Rubrik team, Jake Robinson, Application Solutions Architect, and Mike Preston, Technical Marketing Architect. Jake, Mike, thank you for being here to kick us off on the EcoCast. I know you have some great stuff planned for the audience, including a demo from Mike. So I'm going to hand things right on over to you. Jake, Mike, the stage is all yours.
Good morning, good afternoon. My name is Robert West. I'm a sales engineer here at Rubrik, based out of Austin, Texas. Today, we're going to be discussing Rubrik's offerings for securing your cloud environments. All right, so here are some of the objectives I'm going to talk you through in regards to some of the key challenges you may be facing when it comes to data protection in the cloud. Then we'll talk about how Rubrik can step in and help. At the end of the presentation, I'll walk you through a brief tour of our Polaris platform, where we make all this possible from a single pane of glass. First things first, let's do a brief level set on Rubrik and the core value proposition of our platform, where it really all begins. First, we modernize the way that traditional legacy backup is done through our single scale-out software fabric approach built on a 2U4-node hyperconverged appliance on-prem, which drastically consolidates and simplifies the way that core backup is done. We support all enterprise apps for this workflow with an API-first platform that is secure and flexible to automate, driven essentially by our SLAs. Out of the box, it's natively immutable through our append-only Atlas file system. So once data is written to Rubrik, it can't be edited, overwritten, encrypted, etc. We also provide a logical air gap by not presenting Rubrik over the network via standard network protocols like NFS or SMB. Instead, every communication is done with secure APIs. Second, what we will mostly be talking about today is that our platform natively extends to the cloud. Our software was designed in the cloud era with cloud in mind, where we can dynamically move data to the cloud, spin things up in the cloud, take a VM and archive it to the cloud, and protect cloud native assets. Last but not least, where we're going and our vision as a company is to deliver additional business value beyond just the core backup layer. We provide additional insights with use cases like cyber resiliency and data governance by making use of the backup metadata that we ingest. So think of monitoring snapshots for any anomalous changes or finding out exactly where sensitive data like credit cards and social security numbers might be out in the open. And we also provide you with threat hunting capabilities so that our customers can scan existing snapshots for indicators of compromise to help signal when an infection likely started in the first place. And that's the core platform in general. But let's jump back in and why we're here. And that is to talk about the cloud and the challenges to managing and protecting that data. So here's a checklist and what we're trying to solve for here. Three things. The first, quite fitting for today, is figuring out how do I solve for the cloud. We find that enterprises are trying to solve for data management in a hybrid architecture. So that means they're adopting new cloud platforms and even deploying multiple cloud platforms to achieve a lot of different things unique to that specific organization. Secondly, customers we talk to are trying to make it easier to run their digital estate. Automation is a key tenet to our operational efficiencies. So when thinking about your next data management solution, it's something that must be easy to automate and integrate into your existing environment. Last, but certainly not least, is tackling the security risk. Data security and being able to recover from ransomware plus data governance are top of mind for really everyone. A data management solution would be incomplete if it did not provide recovery capabilities for cyber attacks and region failures. Another problem that comes into play and has to do with the shared responsibility model, where one part of the setup is the responsibility of the cloud provider, and another part of it is the responsibility of the customer. But no matter what, when it comes to security, it's always going to fall in the lap of the customer. And because of that, they are seeking out well-architected cloud solutions. And because of this, it can become especially tricky if you're hybrid, multi-cloud, or operating at an enormous scale, whether it's infrastructure as a service, platform as a service, or software as a service apps. And here's the main challenge for those with existing workloads in the cloud. A typical cloud architecture often involves tens, if not hundreds, of different account subscriptions across many different clouds and regions, which combined with manual job scheduling or painful scripting, it can really drain the productivity from IT teams. In the field, we're hearing from some of our prospects that they're having to set up all these different components around things like retention and frequency, then having to deploy resources within multiple regions for each account, where now you have to manage backup schemes across all these different regions. However, at Rubrik, we can help you solve this and ensure that your data is backed up and protected no matter where it sits in the cloud. Our platform can tie in regardless of where your organization is in its cloud journey, whether you're 90% on-prem and have a deadline to be in the cloud in the next 6 to 12 months, or you're born in the cloud and building all your apps there. So, we can definitely extend security and governance to the cloud for you. Our customers are all on a journey to the cloud, and thus far, this is what we have helped them solve. Rubrik makes it easy to archive backup data to low-cost storage in the cloud. We can also help orchestrate their existing applications into the cloud to accelerate their move away from on-premise infrastructure. And we also help to ensure their new cloud native workloads are protected. First up, archival. Most customers, if they have an on-prem data center and have replaced a legacy solution with Rubrik, will take an archive of their backup data and send it to the public cloud, maybe something like an AWS S3 bucket or Azure Blob. Our technology does incremental forever in the archive piece. So it's efficient with how we're placing the data in the cloud bucket. We can also automate that lifecycle of how the data tiers and when it tiers based on policies and storage class. This is all controlled within our SLA policy domain to dictate when and where you want your data archived. Because again, of all the metadata and how it's indexed, it's searchable. And if you need to pull back data out of the archive with our software, you can retrieve singular files without pulling the whole VM back. So if you had an archive living in an S3 IA infrequent access bucket, but maybe there's a document you've been asked to pull from 3 months ago, which is no longer in production, it's in the backup. Or let's say you want to set up an SLA policy that says you want to take snapshots every 6 hours, keep that data local on the appliance for 30 days, but then you also have a retention requirement of 2 years. You can then set up the SLA policy to reflect this need, so data after it's been retained locally for 30 days can automatically get pushed up to the least expensive tier in the cloud. We also, of course, offer end-to-end encryption, 256-bit at rest and at flight. Next up, cloud instantiation. This is a feature of ours that we call Cloud On, which is only available currently for AWS and Azure. Customers protecting their on-prem workloads using Rubrik usually implement this for things like disaster recovery, app migration, or an accelerated test dev environment from their existing snapshots on the appliance. Technically speaking, what this does is it supports conversion on an on-prem VM to an EC2 instance in AWS or a VM in Azure, irrespective of whether if the snapshot's available locally on the brick or has already been archived to AWS or Azure. It does this by converting the VMDK to an AMI for AWS or VHD for Azure, from which an instance can be launched in the cloud. Rubrik supports 2 workflows for converting and instantiating an on-premise VM in the cloud. We can do it on demand, providing flexibility of a good RPO, as an end user can go back in time on any snapshot and hit the launch in the cloud button, or you could choose to schedule this conversion. Once that is enabled, the Cloud On job will execute every 2 hours by default and convert the latest snapshot, last point in time snapshot to that particular image format. Last up is cloud native protection. This is delivered as a service based snapshotting tool available through Polaris GPS, which we'll touch on, which I'll show you here in a bit. This software is used to protect workloads that are infrastructure as a service or platform as a service in the cloud. Because some customers, after they've lifted and shifted or they built things cloud native, they want to make sure that they can provide the same level of governance and security. First of all, for this capability, it's software as a service from a configuration standpoint. There's no running resources like compute nodes or anything like that in your cloud account. All we're doing is connecting via API from our console, which is an aggregation of metadata. It's a control plane, if you will. We connect from that control plane via API to your cloud account, and you're off and running. Implementation usually only takes several minutes. So it's very quick to set up and consume. For scalable protection, we offer the ability to create a policy that spans hundreds of thousands of resources in the cloud by simply telling what kind of RPO and RTO you want. For instance, you could say, I want to be able to back up all of my cloud resources, whether it's RDS workloads or EC2 once a day. I want to retain that data for 15 days and then archive it out somewhere else. You could set that policy up and the software handles the entire backup and recovery process. We take a lot of the manual work out of having to go configure all these different components in the cloud. And 90% of the clients we talk to tell us that their cloud teams are launching and building things in the cloud really fast. And most times it's challenging for them to get a baseline backup and be able to prove to both themselves and internal and external stakeholders that the data is protected. And through the SLA domain, it makes it very easy to always ensure that you have a baseline backup. From a recovery standpoint, it's near zero RTO, just several clicks to recover. You can recover things across region and account in the cloud. Everything is searchable, and we present you with that data back very quickly. In terms of security, a logical air gap provides protection from ransomware, keeping your backups data isolated and safe in the case of compromise. And from a usability standpoint, we purposely developed a no-brainer approach. We have a point and click multi-cloud dashboard experience that the operator can go into, derive reporting from, have visibility, plain and simple, in a way that some native tooling from cloud provider cannot do. And then from the cloud builders or DevOps folks, we have the ability to deploy this as a code with a dedicated Terraform provider like we talked about earlier. So you can auto provision Rubrik up and down as you're launching cloud templates across different resources in AWS and Azure. It's really flexible in how to manage, and that's our cloud native protection at a high level. Lastly, I do want to show that we cover and protect a broad range of workloads, the most popular being EC2 instances, Azure VMs, VMware Cloud, SQL, and M365, just to name a few. We actually announced back in August of last year that we teamed up with Microsoft to co-engineer some projects with them, which in fact included backing up and protecting M365, which includes, of course, Exchange, OneDrive, SharePoint, and Teams. It's all derived as a service, and the backups are hosted inside our own Azure tenant, providing customers with that logical air gap and the operational freedom that comes with Rubrik managing that setup end to end. I would actually love to show you this real quick when we jump into Polaris. And having said that, I'm going to go ahead and dive into Polaris GPS really quickly. Bear with me for a second, folks. So this is Polaris GPS. This is that SaaS-based platform that I've been talking about. Think of it as the manager of managers as it pertains to Rubrik. It's pulling in all the telemetry data that you're protecting with Rubrik, whether it be on-prem or cloud native for Azure, AWS, GCP, or SaaS-based for M365. So for OneDrive, Exchange, SharePoint, and Teams, to give you a single aggregated view of your entire environment that you're protecting with Rubrik. As it pertains to M365 or cloud native, it's very easy to set up. So we're going to go to our M365 offering here. you would click Add Subscription, put in your global admin permissions for OneDrive, SharePoint, Exchange, and Teams. At no point would we store those credentials. We use modern authentication, so OAuth 2.0, to create that secure sync with your M365 estate. And at that point, you start creating these SLAs and protecting these particular objects. So I'm going to go ahead and go to assign SLA domain. For the sake of this demo, I'm just going to assign an SLA or show you the process of assigning an SLA just to Exchange. But know that you can assign a single SLA across all the objects in M365. You can also get very granular and assign it at the user level as well. So we're going to click Next. Out of the solution, you'll have a gold, a silver, and a bronze SLA, but you can certainly create your own. And I'll walk you through that workflow right now. We can click Create. And then on the left, we're going to be looking at RPOs. On the right, we're going to look at retention. So with M365, we can take snapshots every 4 hours. So say we want to hang on to that for 3 days, let's say a daily, hang on to that for 30 days, let's say a monthly for 12 months. Again, this is completely customizable based on your requirements. We're then going to click Next, review the SLA. If everything looked good, we click Create, and we would start protecting that environment or that Exchange object. From a recovery standpoint, it's super easy. The workflow is the same, whether it's on-prem, M365 or cloud native. You're going to be presented with this calendar view here in a second when I go to the user that I want to recover. And then we see the SLA that's assigned to this particular user, which again can be at the object level or the user level. So if we go back to, let's say, the 12th and we want to recover, click Recover. We can either recover Aaron's entire mailbox to himself or to another user if Aaron has exited the organization, or we can crack open his mailbox and recover specific components. We also have the ability to provide you with a Google-like search functionality to search based on the actual title of the email or attachment to locate that specific email and then provide you with various recovery options as well, the same recovery options. Original user to another user. Later this year, you also have the ability to download locally to your browser. That workflow is very similar across the board, whether it's Exchange, OneDrive, SharePoint, or Teams. We do have we have that download locally option for OneDrive, SharePoint, and Teams. And again, that's on the roadmap for Exchange. As it pertains to cloud native, let's go to all, and we can see all the objects we're currently protecting within this Rubrik demo environment. So I'll just choose Azure specifically for the sake of this demo. Obviously, we protect VMs and applications, SQL databases, as well as managed SQL instances. And with these two offerings here, we provide point-in-time recovery, getting you down to the second, granularity when it comes to recover. Again, very easy to set up. You put in your global admin permissions for all of your cloud accounts, and we auto-discover your environment and provide you with a singular view of all your various accounts. Once we do that auto-discovery, you can start with managed protection. So we're going to select these particular VMs. Before we jump into creating that SLA, you click this ellipses here, and it gives you some options for configuring, right? So we can do file level recovery. So it does require some compute to be spun up when we take those. It's exocompute, so it's not always running. But whenever we take that first full backup, and then every subsequent incremental backup will spin up small exocompute within your environment. To allow that file level recovery, and then we'll spin it right back down. Super cost effective. Also, out of the solution is going to be in a crash consistent state from our backup perspective, but you can enable app consistency. Does require our agent, but because of this, we'll capture all the data within memory too for that specific VM. So when we click Manage Protection. Again, you have that gold, silver, and bronze, and if you hover over them, it'll tell you exactly what the RPO and retention is. But then, we can obviously create an SLA from scratch. So I'm going to Select the object I want to protect with this particular SLA. On the left, we're looking at our RPOs. On the right, retention again. So say I want to take a snapshot every 1 hour, hang on it for 2 days, a daily for 30 days, and then a monthly for 12 months. We're then going to click next. We have the ability to enable archiving. So, at a certain point in time, which you dictate, we'll tear that off to, very cheap, deep storage for long-term retention. I do not have a storage account associated with Azure apparently in this particular demo, so I cannot do that at this time, but you do have that option. We now can enable replication. So we select the region we want to replicate to. And then we tell the system how long we want that data to sit at that secondary site before aging out. Click next. If everything looked good, you click create. Now this is a demo environment and I have limited access permissions that I'm granted here, so I cannot do it, but it's really that simple. And then lastly, before we conclude this, this demo here, I just want to show you our recovery options. So if I pick on this, I'll just select this VM here at the bottom. Again, you're going to see that same workflow. We have that calendar view. We see the SLA that's assigned to it. And when we go to recovery, let's see, I chose this one because we do have indexing available, so I can search. Based on the file name to locate specific files. And when I go to recover, I can recover specific files, traverse the folder hierarchy. I've provided, Rubrik provides that Google-like search functionality. We can restore the existing VM from this snapshot, or we can export to another region or account. It's really that simple. Unfortunately, I'm coming up on time here, but if you'd like to see a deep dive on Rubrik and all its capabilities, please reach out to your Rubrik sales team or your vendor of choice with how you procure technology, and they'll get that call set up for you. Thank you very much for your time today. I really appreciate it.
Thank you to Jake and Mike for that awesome presentation. I want to point out that I have put up a poll question for you all. We'd love to get your feedback on any additional resources that you would like to explore from Rubrik. Your feedback is so valuable, so please take a moment to answer that. There won't be any time for Q&A today, but Rubrik's team will definitely follow up with any questions that you've submitted after today's EcoCast. If you do want to learn more right away, go to the handout tab and click into the link for Rubrik's Info Center, where you can find several of their white papers, articles, and contact info. This will be the perfect way to follow up on the combo we just had with Jake and Mike. Definitely worth a read, and I encourage you to go check it out. Now, we have the first $300 Amazon gift card to give away, and a quick reminder that you must be present at the webinar to win. And our very first lucky winner here today is Rick Lupton from North Carolina. Congratulations. As always, we will be in touch about claiming your prize after the webinar. And don't forget that there are still 2 more chances to win an Amazon card today, plus that best question gift card from each session. But for now, let's keep zipping right along and jump into our next presentation on the EcoCast. Our EcoCast today is short and sweet, but absolutely packed with exciting info and cool takeaways. So here we are at our very last, but certainly not least presenter of the day, Stephanie Stauk, Product Marketing Director at Commvault. Stephanie, thank you so much for being with us here at the EcoCast today. You are our grand finale, so make it count. I'm sure you will. I know you've got some awesome content, so I'm going to hand things right over to you, and then I'll jump right back in for Q&A. Stephanie, the platform is yours.
Fantastic. Thank you. Saving the best for last. I love it. Hi, everybody.
Exactly.
As mentioned, I lead our product marketing team here at Commvault, and I am thrilled to have the opportunity to talk about the importance of safeguarding your app data, no matter where it resides. It could be anywhere. So next up, let's start by exploring what is happening in the market. Hybrid cloud is top of mind for most of the customers I speak with as they evolve their modern app and cloud strategies and consider how to evolve their business. There's a lot going on at the same time. And the reality is that most companies operate in a hybrid environment with data sources, in the cloud and on-prem, while the adoption of native cloud technologies and containers in the enterprise is increasing as well. So given that data is in more places than ever before, it's all over the place. And for many folks, you may not have even had to protect some of these places, like SaaS applications. Also, you have developers working with containers, data spread between on-prem and cloud apps, and initiatives to migrate to the cloud. And all the while, your data needs to be safeguarded. That's what it comes down to. So while companies navigate these different environments, they're at an increased risk for ransomware and cyber attacks. You've got data silos from the proliferation of apps, increasing constrained IT resources, always doing more with less. And then finally, growing the use of cloud native apps and containers that need to be integrated into their environments. And the list goes on and on and on. So needless to say, the journey can be pretty bumpy. But besides that, the world has just changed, and the threat of ransomware is everywhere, including backup environments. So I always like to say, and I'm sure you've heard this plenty of times before, it's not a matter of if or even when you'll be attacked, but how long you figure out it's even happened. And so also the prevalence and pervasiveness of AI, that's brought about a significant shift. So AI-driven attacks can be very, very sophisticated. So while AI offers a tremendous opportunity, we got to recognize it also fuels the proliferation of threats. And then finally, as I've mentioned a couple of times, data is distributed across clouds, regions, applications. It's all over the place. And it's led to this, what I like to call hybrid chaos. And ransomware absolutely thrives in this chaos. So the gaps and complexities arise in this chaos from the fractured tools that many organizations are using to safeguard their data. In fact, I think a great example, I've got one customer who previously ran over 15 different solutions to secure their data before consolidating it into one unified platform with Commvault. And this helped to close a lot of those gaps and reduce the risks and the costs associated with relying on this patchwork of tools. And these changes I just described, they impact your business. And adding more data security tools built on inadequate architectures makes data security prohibitively expensive. And it often forces companies to have to make some really tough choices, like between costs or how much are they willing to risk. So most of the customers I've talked to, they've added to this patchwork of tools over the years, over time. Now they're taking a step back and they're looking at ways to refresh their stack with a consolidated, unified, and just high security, low risk, low TCO approach. So most of the conversations that I have with customers also resolve just around resilience. Resilience, that's a big word that's out there right now. So how do they stay resilient in these shifts and the challenges that they bring? And this most often translates into avoiding downtime. Everyone's talking about downtime, especially since that cost of downtime is staggering. Some of the latest stats I've seen thrown out there, like $9,000 a minute, $450,000 per hour, in the millions, 87 million per year. You start doing the math, that adds up. So given that, what does resilience and app data security really look like? And it's not just about rapid and reliable recovery. After an attack, it's common to hear the question, do we have a clean backup? And actually, I believe that's the wrong question for today's threats. Instead, that question really should be, can we recover within the business's time frame? And answering that question confidently shows strong resilience. And it starts before the attack. And it's an ongoing process across really key practices. Things like understanding your risk profile and improving your data security posture, ensuring readiness with early warning of attacks and ransomware infections, plus the ability to validate clean recovery points and test recovery before a cyber event. And then when, it's time to recover, make sure you have a bulletproof, predictable, frictionless recovery at any scale. So all of that wraps up to, in short, today, you need an AI-enabled cyber resilient platform that helps you manage risk, readiness, and recovery. So how do you go find that? So with the most comprehensive data security, we can do this with Commvault Cloud. And unifying how you safeguard all your data, no matter where it is, no matter where it lives, and no matter where you want to recover it. That's important as well. And what I like to say is, like, we've built something seemingly simple, but is tremendously powerful. And we've separated how you control your data security estate from the data management layer and storage. And with these decoupled layers, we can provide clean, predictable, and fast recovery. So let me take you through each of these, and I kind of like to call it a layer cake, and discuss how each one works. So I'm going to start at the bottom with any-to-any support. Here are in-depth defense layering, separating the control plane from the data plane, from the storage location, safeguards data across all workloads, no matter where it lives. And also, our any-to-any portability enables you to leverage the strengths of each cloud environment. And this flexibility allows you to adapt to changing requirements, optimize performance, and avoid any disruptions. Also, another side benefit to any-to-any portability is that since the data plane is decoupled, like I mentioned earlier, we can keep copies of that data in other locations without the need to stand up those costly boxes of computing and storage, which can really start to eat into your budget. And this really offers some significant benefits. And obviously, you don't move to the cloud because migration's difficult and expensive. Let's say, you've got some virtualized Microsoft SQL servers and they're sitting on-prem, and getting those out of the data center and into the cloud. You have to get that data from on-prem to the cloud. You got to translate it and automate it to minimize the impact on the business. The cool thing is any-to-any portability makes it possible by making it easy to move that data from one platform to another. And when it comes to hybrid cloud, businesses, they're in various stages, adopting different paths to their hybrid multi-cloud strategy. And so some customers, some of you out there are, you're migrating business critical apps to the cloud. And you need cloud backup solutions and storage as you migrate. Others prefer to use the cloud as an economical offsite storage for their on-prem data. Other companies are rapidly accelerating the use of cloud-native PaaS SaaS applications. That's great, but they all need to be protected with the same business SLAs. So because each company's journey is unique, we're focused on the breadth of coverage and flexibility. So our AI capabilities are next in the layer cake, and I'm really, really excited about these. So with our advanced AI capabilities, we can help customers respond to threats quickly and recover rapidly. And it's really important to point out that, AI is not new to Commvault. We've actually been incorporating these really awesome techniques into our platform for over a decade. Our next round of AI-focused innovation is built around using AI to enhance data protection and recovery operations in the most intelligent, secure, and automated way, to simplify and enrich user interactions with Commvault Cloud. So I've got a great example here, and that's with Arlie. And this is an AI assistant, and it's short for Anonymous Resilience. And Arlie responds to inquiries from our users in plain, simple language and can quickly consolidate information and provide actionable responses. That's key, actionable responses. You can do something with them to help save time. So for instance, Arlie can give real-time insights into operational failures. Arlie can code an action. So type what you want and Arlie will generate the code immediately for you. Arlie can do a guided walkthrough and make it easy for users to set up, customize, and tune Commvault Cloud. It's also important to note too that our AI capabilities can also help minimize the impact of cyber attacks with early warning and cyber deception, while accelerating recovery with things like threat scanning, remediation, intelligent quarantining, and clean recovery validation. I'll go into a little bit more of that in a bit. So next up, we have our platform services. With risk governance, you can proactively find and remediate risks to your data security posture. So this includes things like being able to discover, classify, and protect sensitive data. So once you identify your most sensitive data, you can detect threats and unusual activity in that data. Then we can ensure that you're able to securely recover your data by identifying the last known clean copies to help avoid any potential reinfection. So plus, you have all this really valuable information to facilitate efficient compliance and prove that that data has not been altered at all. So next up is readiness and response. And I think this one's really key. And this one's all about advanced preparedness, which includes early warning, automated validation, and continual recovery testing. Yes, continual recovery testing, very, very important. Incident response planning is complicated, and it gets even more complex across hybrid workloads. So using advanced AI, we have intelligent decoys that mimic and behave like legitimate assets to give early warning to threats. Like we also have secure air-gapped cloud storage for data backups. And with our clean room recovery capabilities, you can test and prepare for recovery with cloud-ready recovery targets. That's where you can get your testing in. Then finally, we have cyber recovery. And unfortunately, the inevitable happens and there's an incident. You know, can you recover quickly? Can you trust the data? Or is the hardware clean? Commvault's cyber recovery capabilities ensure predictable, scalable, and rapid recoveries. And I love talking about this one because this is where our clean room recovery capabilities come back into play. So you can use them for, initial testing, but because not only can you test and prepare ahead of time, but when an incident does happen, you've got a safe recovery to a clean room in the cloud. So also it helps with forensics afterward. So when the cyber insurance folks show up, you need to show how things happened. And this provides a clean space to perform those forensics. Finally, we've made it to the top of the layer cake here, and there's unified management. I'm sure most of you have multiple deployments. I'm confident most of you have multiple deployments across your enterprise, and you've got to maintain a control plane for each of those deployments. That can be super, super challenging to manage SLAs and safeguard applications throughout their life cycle. So with our unified management, you can see, secure, and recover your data everywhere from a central control plane and get a single source of truth with a consistent experience for everyone. So it's regardless of the workload, regardless of the environment, it's all in one place. So with all this, I've got 3 takeaways and that I'd like to share because I really love doing things in threes. First off, you got to have a multi-layered approach to detection and response. It's crucial for staying alert to potential threats and safeguarding your applications and data. This approach involves implementing advanced intelligence, threat detection, early warning systems to identify and respond to security incidents proactively. Advanced intelligence gathers and analyzes data from various sources, like from network traffic, endpoint activity, and user behavior to detect those suspicious patterns and activities. Then you got the threat detection systems that use machine learning and artificial intelligence to identify known and emerging threats, so you can take immediate action to mitigate risks. And then those early warning systems provide real-time alerts and notifications when potential threats are detected, allowing you to respond as fast as possible, swiftly and effectively. So by combining all these layers of protection, you can stay ahead of potential data breaches and minimize that impact of security incidents. This approach enhances your overall security posture, and it ensures the integrity and confidentiality of your company's data across multiple cloud environments. Next, you have to engage unified management. Avoid using many tools and platforms that create just these overly complex interfaces. You need a solution that operates through a single pane of glass dashboard, protecting all your workloads while your data security remains efficient and comprehensive as possible. Also, a unified solution provides that critical visibility with the ability to manage any data anywhere from one console. And the great thing is you can select SaaS and self-managed solutions if your strategy requires, and you have access to industry-leading technology to support that. So the key thing here is to look at consolidating and get everything you need from a single vendor. Then finally, comprehensive cyber resilience plan. You got to have a plan. It's essential for safeguarding, your company's applications and data. It's an effective plan protects your data against various risks. So that including hardware failure, software corruption, human error, ransomware attacks, you name it. There are some key considerations when developing a plan, and that includes things like defining clear recovery point objectives and recovery time objectives, choosing the proper backup storage, implementing appropriate retention policies, regularly testing your plan. I'm going to say that one over and over again. Test your plan, test your plan. And then finally, things like storing backup data offsite. So you can help safeguard your company's apps and data, enhance your company's cyber resilience across multiple clouds, and just ensure that you can quickly and easily recover your data during a disaster. And this, with single solution protection, look for comprehensive coverage across on-prem, multi-cloud, SaaS, and edge data. Make sure it covers all of that. So with that, there's probably some questions that have come through. So I'm going to go ahead and pass the ball back for some Q&A.
Awesome. Thank you, Stephanie. What a great presentation. And I'm with you on the magic of 3. So that's always good. Right. I've put up one final poll for everybody here. I know your trigger fingers are warmed up from the keynote, so go ahead and hit that now. Again, this is your wish list, your easy button. You want good information, and we want to give it to you. So click on your preference, and the team at Commvault will definitely hand it right on over. If you want to learn more right away, click into the handout tab and snag the Buyer's Guide, Cyber Resilience for your SaaS app data. I have to say, Stephanie, this is such a beautiful document and jam-packed with great info. So for everyone out there, make sure you download it now and give it a read this weekend, maybe morning coffee tomorrow. And with that, Stephanie, are you ready to dive into some questions?
Oh, bring it on. This is my favorite part.
Okay, excellent. So you mentioned the any-to-any support and the cost of time and resources to migrate. As customers continue to move applications and data to the cloud, what should customers ask themselves when they move or when preparing for this move?
Oh, wow. That's a great question. And I wish I had one definitive answer for that, because this journey is not a one size fits all approach. It's just not. It's granular, it's app specific. And with some applications being rehosted while others are refactored to leverage cloud native, PaaS and Kubernetes services, there's just a lot here. I guess really for me, what it comes down to is to ensure data security and compliance across your entire environment. So all cloud workloads, your applications and your services, it's really essential to integrate data protection measures, data security measures right from the onset to minimize risk and potential vulnerabilities. And this includes addressing things like fast recovery, air gap security, coverage, simple management, even cost optimization. And the great thing, Commvault's got some great resources to help. I probably could just list a bunch of things out, but we do have some great resources to help guide you through the process. So I encourage folks to check that out.
Amazing. Okay, next question from Paul. Is the AI model used continually being trained with the latest threats and vulnerabilities to ensure the AI enhanced SIM is up to date? That was named Arlie, is that right?
Yeah. Well, Arlie is one example of multiple different ways that we leverage AI. That's more around within the product, just helping it become easier for people to use Commvault Cloud and get questions answered. But yes, we do use AI to help with things like threat scanning, threat detection, and you name it. I think we've got 5 or 6 different capabilities, and it continues to grow. So a lot of innovation around AI. And yes, to answer that question, we are constantly working through that and making sure that we're taking a look at all the latest and greatest threats that are out there to detect that. That's actually a really big thing, with Threat Scan and then our other product, ThreatWise.
Okay, excellent. Good to hear. Few more questions here. Next one is, Do we need to consider SaaS protection as well? Isn't it already protected? You did mention it does, so maybe shedding a light on how, why.
Yeah, I'm happy to address this one. Despite the continued adoption of SaaS apps, there is this interesting, like, growing disconnect around who's responsible for protecting the data living within them. And I'm always surprised when I talk to folks and they believe that the cloud service providers are responsible for administering their applications and safeguarding their data. That's not, and that's wrong. Let's just say that. So the SaaS shared responsibility model is really crucial in cloud security, and it divides the responsibilities between cloud providers and their customers for securing data and applications. So providers secure the infrastructure while customers safeguard their data. And this model really helps to ensure, clarity and accountability. And a key thing here, data experts emphasize the importance of a proactive data security strategy, and leading providers recommend actually implementing third-party solutions like Commvault to help. So, it's also important to note that cloud providers have different approaches to securing their customers' data. So meaning their responsibilities may vary significantly. So it's important to take a look at that. So even though cloud providers are responsible for offering secure environments and tools, like, there's no guarantee that customer data will remain private or secure if companies fail to implement best practices, such as things like access control, encryption, and like other measures. So it really is essential to understand each provider's responsibilities regarding data security and protection, and make sure you're selecting the suitable partner for your needs.
Excellent. Okay, I think we can squeeze in one or two more questions here. So hopefully it's a good one. This one is, can the same principles of on-premise architecture be applied to the cloud in a hybrid environment?
Oh gosh, how much time do I have to answer this question? Good one,
like
too.
1 or 2 minutes,
Oh gosh, I'll do my best.
Okay.
So, organizations benefit, from the scale and availability of the public cloud for specific workloads, while keeping others on-prem for like faster access, or a lot of them even for like regulatory compliance. So it's important. And, at the end of the day, it's essential to understand how and why you deploy or use hybrid environments, and consider how you're going to protect and secure those environments. And what I mean by that is, like, ensuring data integrity requires a different approach in the cloud. So can some of the same principles be applied? Yes, but it's still different. And it is vital that production data workloads are isolated from production domain, and backup fills that role, which is great. But further, like, if you use an on-prem option, you've got to consider things like hardware failure, fire, flood, and other scenarios. So it's just different. And then you need to understand that hybrid cloud environments, they have specific requirements for data security, with data stored in multiple locations. So that means that solutions to protect this data needs to offer a breadth of application coverage and flexibility of storage. And I'm going to also toss in a unified management interface is also important as well. So again, that's a little long-winded, but my short answer is it's different. So be prepared and do your homework.
No, that's beautiful. Okay, Stephanie, before we wrap things up, I have one last question for you. If someone out there wants to learn more about Commvault, what do you suggest as their first step? How can they get started?
Oh gosh, as I mentioned earlier, we have a lot of resources to help answer any questions about safeguarding your app data. So I just really encourage people to take a trip over to our website to learn more, and also be sure to request a personalized demo. So folks like myself can answer your questions and actually show you how Commvault can help, with your specific use case or use cases that you have.
Stellar. I'd like to say one final thank you for being here today. I really appreciate it, Stephanie.
Thank you.
You are most welcome. Take care. Have a good weekend. And right now, I have a couple more prizes to give out. So 2 more $300 Amazon gift cards, and a quick reminder that you must be present at this time to win. So our next lucky winners here are Jeremy Vanek from Nebraska and Larry Prine from Connecticut. Congratulations. Just a recap of everybody. We have Rick Lupton from North Carolina, Jeremy Vanek from Nebraska, Larry Prine from Connecticut. As always, we will be in touch about claiming your prize after the webinar, plus that best question gift card from each session. If you are on the webinar today and you would like to chat with us about presenting on a future summit, EcoCast, or MegaCast webinar, we'd love to hear from you. Reach out via email at connect@actualtechmedia.com. And with that, on behalf of the Actual Tech Media team, I want to thank all of our speakers from Rubrik and Commvault for making this EcoCast possible, and also for being with us here today. A special thank you to all of you for attending and asking some great questions. I personally had so much fun with you all, talking about something that affects all of us, developing and launching applications. I hope you have all gotten some interesting ideas and tips, and maybe you're leaving feeling kind of lit up and ready to take some next steps. So again, thanks for your participation. I know I put you through a lot of polls, especially with Keith, but it was so great to see the interaction. And thanks for making my first week as a moderator here at Actual Tech super duper special. I look forward to the next one. And speaking of the next one, be sure to mark your calendars and come back to join us. The next thing you might want to get your eyes on is getting the most from a managed security services provider. That's Tuesday, February 6th, 12 p.m. Eastern, 9 a.m. Pacific. I hope to see you all again soon, and until then, have a magical day.